Hello, how are you doing? This is IdealSpeak and I am Hamid. Today we are going to talk about having a conference. We would like to describe a conference, how to give a good performance in a conference. And as usual, we'll be learning a lot of new vocabulary and phrases that you can use later on to talk about this topic as well as any other topic related to this. I'm going to start with telling you a story of a conference I attended around 10 years ago when I was a student at university. We were invited to this conference in the other city of my country. And the conference was supposed to take 3 days. The organizers of the event arranged everything for us. Everything from the accommodation all the way to food and our schedule, transport from the accommodation to the conference place. On the first day of the conference, when we arrived at the place, we met a lot of delegates from different universities inside our own country and even from other universities abroad. Delegates are the people sent to an event, usually a conference, to represent a broader audience. They represent their university, their country, etc. I have to admit that on the first day of the conference, we attended some boring presentations. It was awful. Most of the speakers spoke off the cuff. They really didn't know their stuff. If someone speaks off the cuff, they speak spontaneously without any prior plan, and they usually end up screwing up the whole event. And even the delegates that attended these boring conferences asked some stupid questions. They asked some questions off the top of their head, meaning they didn't think about the questions they were going to ask. They just said something just in order to say something. Besides that, the air conditioning in the conference room was awful. There was no proper air conditioning. Maybe this is something the organizers of the event should bear in mind for the next year. Next year, there's going to be another conference like this, but I'm going to email them that if they don't fix the problem with the air conditioning in the conference room, I'm not going to attend their conference. They should bear this in mind, that air conditioning is one of the key things to keep the audience happy, satisfied. After the first day of the conference was over, we went back to our accommodations, which was inside the university campus. It was around 100 meters from the conference hall, so it was really close. The accommodation was almost good. Then the second day of the conference came in. We went to the conference hall and the same as the first day, attended some presentations. But the speakers that spoke on the second day were much better chosen. They had chosen very good, very professional speakers on the second day. And after we attended their speeches, we came away with tons of information. If you come away with information from an event, from a conference, you learn a lot of things from it. We came away with tons of information after the second day of the conference was over. And even during the presentation of this guy on the second day, the time flew by, the time flashed by. We didn't feel the passing of the time because we were enjoying the speech. After the events in the morning of the second day were over, we were invited to a canteen that was on the ground floor of the conference hall to have lunch. During the lunch, I sat around the same table with other delegates from other universities, most of them from overseas universities, and we talked a lot. We bounced ideas off one another. If you bounce information idea off another person, you exchange your point of view with them. They give you their opinion on the matter and you give them your opinion on that. There was this delegate I met during the lunch. He was really smart, but he had different opinions than mine. We didn't see eye to eye with each other. His opinions were totally different, of course, on the subject discussed during the conference. But even though his opinions were totally the opposite of mine, he gave me a lot of food for thought. After I talked to him during the lunch, I couldn't stop thinking about his opinions, what he had told me during the lunch. If someone gives you food for thought, it means what they teach you, what they tell you, keeps your mind busy for some time. You can't stop thinking about them. And if you don't see eye to eye with someone else, you have different opinions than theirs. Your point of view on the subject is different from theirs. We were also really happy with the catering at lunch. They could cater for all sorts of tastes. There were even some delegates coming from Chinese universities, from East Asian universities. The organizers of the event had even provided some Chinese food for them. So they could cater, they could serve all sorts of taste. I have to complain a bit about the timing of the conference. The timing could have been better. When I attended the conference, I was looking forward to attending the speech of one of my favorite speakers. But in the end, I ended up missing out on his speech just because of the bad timing. I went to attend the speech of another speaker, and after it was over, I was informed that the speech of my favorite speaker had also been over. So they had put the two most important events at the same time. If you wanted to attend the first one, you had no choice but to miss on the second one. That's a poor timing. I wasn't satisfied with that. When I attended, as I said, when I attended the conference, when I went to this conference, I was waiting for the speech of my favorite speaker all along the conference. I was waiting for him only. And in the end, I ended up missing out on his speech. Then we entered the third day of the conference. Again, I've got to admit that it was almost boring. The third day was almost so boring as the first day. But I was very lucky to meet a delegate. In the afternoon of the third day of the conference, I met a delegate who turned out to be one of my best friends in life. His opinions are so different. He's a really smart guy, and he can present his opinions in a well-established manner. You cannot argue with him. Every time I talk to him, he opens my eyes into a new topic. I really appreciate having him as my friend. And he's always been so supportive of me. In the afternoon of the third day, right after I'd met this delegate, it was my turn to go up on the stage and give my presentation. After my presentation, he told me it was excellent. And I really believed in him. He gave me a pat on my back. If you give someone a pat on the back, you praise them. You give them compliments. You give them good comments. He did all of that for me, and he's been continuing to do all of that for me since I met him at the conference. After the third day of the conference, we came back to our cities to continue with our everyday life. And next year, around the same time, almost in the middle of June, we are planning to attend this conference again. But Earlier, before I go to the conference again next year, I'm going to contact the organizers of the event to ask them to only invite the best speakers. If they invite those boring speakers that spoke off the wall, I'm not going to go to their conference again. If someone speaks off the wall, they speak crazy, they don't know what they're talking about. If they invite those speakers that spoke off the wall for the next year's conference, I'm not going to attend their conference. And I'm going to say that in the email that I'm going to send to the organizers of this event. Tell me in the comments if you've ever attended a conference. Tell me your experience on that. How was it? Did you like it? If they threw the same sort of conference again, would you give it another try? Would you attend it again? Tell me everything about your experience of the conferences, academic conferences, as well as other conferences. Most of them are academic. Tell me about your experiences of them in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this talk. I hoped the new vocabulary I tried to use in my speech helped you. Don't forget to give this video a thumb up and subscribe to my channel to not miss any of my future content. Have a nice day and see you next time.